Well, I'm concerned about headbutting and striking a nurse.
Yes, yes, sir.
They're pretty special people when it comes to taking care of people, because if they weren't there, who would be? But you don't assault somebody, especially hit a woman in the face, a nurse, and sashay out of here without paying a price.
I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
This case does make me wonder. This case exemplifies the uselessness of this lawyer. As you have just heard this lawyer agree with Judge Stevens that the actions of the defendant in hitting a nurse is bad. But what's worse is that this defendant never actually hit a nurse, never actually committed that crime, but the judge can only go by what is in the indictment. But the lawyer who is actually meant to read the discovery never did, and we know this because if he had, he would have read that it was a security guard which was hit and not a nurse. Both are bad, but one is worse, and this useless bum of a lawyer was about to have his client do 180 days in jail for a crime that he didn't commit. And if it wasn't for one thing happening, then that's exactly what would have happened. And no one would be the wiser, especially us, on how useless and indeed dangerous this lawyer actually is. This is the very definition of failing at one's duties within the role of a public defender.
Texas versus Christopher Chambliss that year.
Yes,
Present.
sir, Your Honor.
In summary, this indictment alleges that on or about February 14th, 2024, in Jefferson County, Texas, you committed the third-degree felony of assault on a public servant. Do you understand what you're charged with?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
If convicted, you face a term of not more than 10 years or less than 2 years in prison. In addition, a fine may be assessed not to exceed $10,000. Do you understand?
Yes, sir, Your Honor, I do.
The agreement's been reached. You would be pleading guilty, sentenced to 10 years in prison. That would be suspended. You would be placed on regular probation for 10 years. Is that your understanding of the agreement?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
How do you plead to this indictment? Guilty or not guilty? Guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
You're hesitating. Are you guilty or not?
Guilty.
Are you pleading guilty voluntarily and because you are guilty?
I was off my medications.
Are you pleading guilty because you are guilty?
Did you do it?
Yes, sir, Your Honor, I did.
Yeah.
How long have you been in jail now? Did you say? A long time? Months?
Since
Weeks? Days? What?
Weeks.
August 15th.
Injuries to this lady? Please.
She had a bruise, Your Honor. He was there on a detention hold.
What was her damages?
There was no damages.
No physical injuries? It was observed.
There was no
physical injury.
as far as damages. There was no money that she wasn't treated. She just had some bruising, I believe.
She was struck in her face with his hand, and let's see, used his head to strike her in the face. I observed physical injuries. He also spit saliva on her, landing on her neck area, it says. But
No, that's
how
right.
can you hit somebody with your head in the face and, not cause some kind of harm?
Well, there was bruising.
Bruising. I understand there's no. She didn't have any medical bills or anything like that. There's no restitution. There's no restitution, but there was.
Okay.
It did bruise her.
But-
And all that. And like you said a moment ago, Your Honor, one of the big issues was he was there for a medical issue, and he was
Well, the
off
big
his
issue
medication.
is he competent or not?
Oh, he is competent. Yeah.
And it's not then there's no defense there, is there?
No, we're not saying it's defense.
Okay,
We're
well
just
then
saying
let's
why.
not waste our time.
Yeah.
Either is responsible or not.
Yeah. And he's
But
been in
you hit
contact.
somebody in the face, a woman, and you hit him in the face, which results in this third-degree felony, and they're a public servant, namely a nurse at the hospital, ironically trying to provide medical care to the person who assaults. That's all. We had a battery running low, which was not a surprise here.
We just have technology issues. It seems.
How much time does it show? He was in custody. Anything else on this?
I'm not sure. That's
I'm going to find you pleaded guilty. I'm going to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. I'm following this agreement. You were hereby sentenced to confinement in the institutional division of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice to serve a term of 10 years. that will be suspended. You are placed on regular probation for 10 years. There is no fine here. There will be terms and conditions of probation, which are normal and customary for this type of offense. Can you tell me a little bit about what the situation was here
Situation,
with him? Well, yeah, why was he in the hospital?
I believe it was, I don't have her, I don't have the computer right in front of me.
It was an emergency detention hearing dealing with his some psychiatric issues, Your Honor, where they had brought him in to the hospital, and that's what they were trying to essentially treat him for on that unit. And
Well, I'm concerned about headbutting and striking a nurse.
Yes, yes, sir.
They are, they're pretty special people
Yeah.
when it comes to taking care of people, because if they weren't there, who would be? If the doctors need them, so who would be? The point being is I can put somebody in jail up to 180 days. And when you assault people who are in a position of special providing of public service, then you pay for it on my watch.
Your Honor, if I could respond, I think he was having issues back then. He's been competent lately. Before he was actually arrested, he and I had been in contact. He had called my office because he knew I was a court appointed attorney while the warrant was pending. He was actually in, was it Alabama? Alabama? He was in another state. Georgia. Okay. I knew it was somewhere that way. He was in Georgia, whatever. Me and him were coordinating back and forth, trying to get him, figure out what's going on in the case. He's been competent. He's never denied doing this. He's always been very,
And he's charged with, I'm sorry, intentionally, knowingly, or recklessly causing
yes,
bodily injury.
and
So
he understands that.
he's accepting
He's
responsibility.
absolutely, Your Honor.
But you don't assault somebody, especially hit a woman in the face, a nurse, and sashay out of here without paying a price.
Well, and another thing, Your Honor, he's currently expecting his first child. When is it due?
I'm more worried about you know what I'm worried about is the victim,
I
the
understand. Your Honor.
person who is not paid to be punched in the face
Absolutely, I understand. Your
when they're
Honor.
trying to care.
I
You're going
would
to serve 180 days in jail as a condition of,
I
you
would ask-
served how long? How,
days so far.
Your Honor, I would ask
4
the court
months.
to abate that and see how he does on probation, and if he's messing up, then do it. But I think he's going to be okay on
Now, if he
probation.
messes up on probation, you're looking at 10 years, but right now you're going to do 4 months. In 4 more months, you just don't punch a care provider in the face. Sorry. That's
I
just
did,
it.
Your Honor, I did ask her nicely 3 times to back up out of my face. I did ask her nicely. I said, ma'am, please back up out of my face 3 times.
You did, you said what to her?
I said, she was all up in my face and I asked her 3 times. I'm like, ma'am, please back up out of my face. I'm off my meds, really. I was off my meds for like.
So you remember all of that?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Yes,
well,
Your
and just to
Honor, I
be
do.
clear, Your Honor, it was a security officer there at the hospital that were
And there is what saves him, and who indeed lets us all know that there is a major problem with this case and this lawyer, the prosecutor. And that, well, that does make me wonder.
dealing
Here's
with
the
him.
deal is, says security officer. It
Yes.
says, yeah, I want to be, what do you see what this indictment says? I mean, I'm reading the indictment. It says assaulted Linda DeMoss, a public servant, namely a nurse at St. Elizabeth Hospital. Is that wrong or right?
Yes, Your Honor, that's incorrect. It should be the.
Well, the indictment is
security
wrong?
officer. Yes.
We can't be pleading guilty to something that's wrong if everybody knows about it.
Yes, sir.
I didn't realize that. Like I said, I
I
don't,
wouldn't-
computer today.
yeah.
I don't have that in front of me like I
Yes, sir.
normally do, Your Honor.
The security guard is also
Still
protected
public. Yes, sir.
person,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
But a nurse is not in a position to be able to defend themselves like a security personnel may be able to.
I do think we maybe need to make an amendment from the,
Yes, Your Honor.
I don't think it changes
Y'all-
doesn't change the crime.
Y'all gotta correct this. I mean, I'm heading out in one direction thinking this is a nurse. Nobody's
Yeah.
saying anything until at the end of all of this.
Yes.
And it's the apples and oranges. I made a big speech about protecting the public servant and nurse.
Yeah, it's not an.
I'm going to do that because they're trying to help people, not to defend themselves. And security person is in a different position.
Still a public servant. That still falls with that.
So what do y'all want to do in this indictment? This can't be,
Move to amend
this
it, Your
can't be
Honor.
wrong or else we're doing.
Yeah, I
we're
think the
sloppy.
state's movement to amend that, just change nurse to security officer. And we don't object to that. That's.
Okay, what is the word? Yeah, I'm taking out nurse here at
Yes,
your
Your Honor.
request, and what should it be? Security officer?
Yes, Your Honor.
And then it goes on to say, to wit, in the lawful discharge of an official duty, to wit, or namely providing medical care to the defendant. Well, that's not right either. That security person isn't providing medical care. So what are we doing?
Your Honor-
What do we say for that?
Why don't we do this, since, I will be back here in the morning. I know Mr. Boyd's
What do you want
here
to put
the
in
morning.
here so we
Do
can
you
move
wanna-
on, so
I think
everybody
the
can move
officer-
on with their life? Because
Yeah.
I'm going to follow this agreement as it
Yeah.
is. Just fix it, though.
And they were helping.
I'm sorry. It's just, yeah, y'all, an indictment ought to be accurate.
Then let's give us a little moment to me and Mr. Boyd to work out the actual language we need to get in here, because that's.
They were actually bringing him in the psychiatric area for treatment. It was doing that
So,
in there.
In lawful discharge of an official duty, to wit, providing security to the hospital?
Yes, Your Honor.
Works. It's up to the state.
Well, if it works,
Yeah,
is it right or not?
Yes, Your Honor. We need to amend it.
Or do you swear to God?
Hey,
I mean, we're just,
well,
you had to
Yes.
look at this. You
Yes,
know,
yes.
is that what this person's doing?
yes.
Providing,
Yes, Your Honor.
Security for the
providing
hospital, yes.
security at the hospital.
Yes, Your
Yeah,
Honor.
that's what this person's on duty for doing.
Corrected to state, the victim was a public servant providing, a public servant, namely a security officer at St. Elizabeth Hospital in the lawful discharge of an official duty, to wit, or namely providing security for the hospital.
That's
Good?
Yes, Your
That's
Honor.
perfect, Your Honor.
All right. And I issued the statement, you're sentenced to 10 years in prison. That is suspended. You were placed on regular probation. There will be terms and provisions that are normal and customary. Please see the probation officer. Do you understand? If you fail, your probation could be revoked. You could be sentenced up to 10 years in prison. Don't,
Is the upfront time still part of it, or is that been?
No. no. And I don't mean to be light to a security official,
But it's a little different.
but a nurse is not in a position to defend themselves.
Yes, I
Necessarily.
understand. Your Honor. Yes.
And they're like a doctor at a hospital,
Versus security
and they're
guard.
going to be, you pay a price. Security, you also pay a price, and he's got a felony conviction now.
Right, exactly. Thank you.
It makes you wonder, is this just a one-off mistake, or is this something much, much deeper, and the people paying the price are sitting in prison, wondering what the hell just happened?